Peace, what's up, how you doing? I'm Doc. People call me DJ Doc, but I just like Doc. From the Bronx originally. I like to provide music, yes. I like to see people dance. I come from a dancing background. I grew up as a b-boy at first, so break beats was my foundation. After the break beats, I got into like the hip hop beats and just beats, period. But I really love music. I'm a lover of music. Music is one of the things that can change everything in this world in one dynamic. And I was inspired by it through dance. And many of my friends are dancers. So they're the ones who inspire me to always get new music to make them dance, because I always picture someone else dancing to a particular song, and I say, this song would be good, and I would automatically picture a circle of people dancing and all of them getting down to this one song. So when I choose records, when I search for records, when I go hunt for music, I always think of these people, you know, when I go look. My journey in music, it would have to be coming from my mother, because she always played music, and that was one of the things that would calm me down or would inspire me to do something. I was always wanting into like electronics and things like that, so I would take things apart. I would break them, wouldn't know how to put them back, and then I learned how to put them back. And my first DJ set was probably like I was 8 years old. It wasn't even a DJ set. I just took 2 phonograph things and hooked up some kind of switcher. It wasn't even a switcher, but I was just changing one to the other. It was really, really crazy. I can imagine myself being on the floor right there doing it. And I took my mom's stereo system and hooked it up. I was just trying to get sound, because outside they were having a jam. So at the moment I was on punishment, so I had to do something to try to be inspired, since I couldn't go outside. You know, everybody around the block had to know how to dance. That's the only way you could be hanging out with these people. And a lot of my friends were either athletic or dancers. So I hung out with them. And one of the things is you had to know all the latest dances. I grew up on the block where Charlie Chase, who's a known DJ for Cold Crush Brothers, I grew up on that same block. So we had a bunch of people in that area who were into music, and they were DJs, they were MCs, they were dancers. Like breaking was a thing that people had to do around that block, You know, they had people would hustle, do, you know, Patty Duke, all the different social dances. That kind of music was so energy fueled that every chance I got, you know, to go to a jam, I was always there listening to what the DJ was playing and looking at the different styles of dance people were doing. And, you know, we had Soul Train. So I wanted to interface that what was happening with Soul Train. And I was like, okay, they're doing this, and over here we're doing that. So understanding like the differences where certain things was coming from, I started on 2 Gemini turntables, the belt drive ones, and I taught myself how to mix. I was mixing acapellas with a beatbox. It was like one of those real beatboxes. You turn it on and it starts playing a random beat, and it's not in time at all. So I learned how to mix by playing acapellas with the beatbox, a real beatbox. You know, my friend had a real DJ set. He had the actual turntables, the techniques. That was the standard. And this was like in 7th grade, and we used to cut class to play music. And that was how we had our fun. And you know, we had an MC, we had a graph writer, and we had a DJ. So you kind of had like most of the culture just doing it naturally. Whichever one that you felt that you stuck to, that stuck with you the most, that's the one that you stayed with. So I kind of stayed toward the dancing and toward the music, because those are interrelated with me. I had to do it because one of my biggest peeves was that there was a lot of music being played, a lot of music not being played. And you know, when you go to the club dancing with the, you know, Slimmy dancing, and the guy's playing the song, and he cuts off the best part of the song. It's like, okay, guy, I don't want to hear you cut off the song. We're getting into a groove right here. It's really important. But he wants to play, I don't know, 15 songs in 2 minutes. I don't want to hear 15 songs in 2 minutes. So I felt like, man, it's missing a whole lot of stuff. And I would have all these records, because I worked in a record shop. I worked there for like 10 years, and I got my kind of like grounding on how the record business kind of runs a little bit, and how people get promotional copies of things, and who gets it and who doesn't, and which stores get it and which doesn't. And I would sit there and like sift through every record. I felt that little void, because it was missing. Like, okay, all these guys I've been surrounded by, I don't hear the type of music that's being played. And it got really, really political as far as like, you know, playing music. You had guys who would go to clubs and play for $100. That was the time when you would have to bring all of your equipment And you see guys with tons and tons of crates of records because they will always have to change their genres just to keep the crowd going. And it was still things missing. Because I felt at that time, if you're playing for 6 hours, right, you have 12 crates of records, you really don't know what you're doing. So in order, what I used to do is I used to carry like four tops. Because I'm counting how long I'm going to play the record and what's going to do with the crowd, and how to have like little sections where I have like little breaks. I have one crate straight with breaks and little segues and do acapellas and stuff like that. Then have the records that everybody likes. So, I mean, that's how I kind of did it. I learned it from watching these guys. Brian started a party called the House Dance Conference because it was really like needed, I guess, in the dance community, because we had so many different clubs. You had Palladium, you had Octagon, you had all these different kinds of clubs at that time. You had Red Zone, all these different clubs, but there's still some things you didn't get a chance to hear. And then we had a real big dance scene in New York that really wasn't getting, the attention, the respect, I guess, or it wasn't really being recognized. It was I could tell you a whole bunch of incredible dancers. They've probably already sat on this couch already, but we already know who they are. They all come from New York. Like they say that the Chicago music scene or the house music thing started in Chicago, but the culture was cultivated in New York. I was always listening to music. I would have my headphones on, traveling back and forth with music, driving, any long trips, playing music. So it was always a part of my life. It kept me going. That's what kind of wanted me to share that with other people. So when you go to a bottle top club, I call them bottle top clubs, right? You're gonna hear the type of music that is surrounded by that kind of atmosphere. Like when you go into a club, you gotta get searched, and they serve liquor, they have to serve liquor, and they're playing the music that's total derogatory opposite of how we grew up. I mean, we were surrounded by that, but that wasn't the main focus. So they're playing the music, and the music is shooting derogatory and profanities at you all night after you've been searched, after you've drunk a whole lot of liquor. So what kind of energy is gonna come out of that? Because some people don't listen to the words, they listen to the beat first. And I've heard women say, did you hear what I said, did you hear what he just said to you? He's not talking to me. I said, but by you dancing, you just consented to it. That's not hip hop. That's not what hip hop is about. Because if it doesn't have these 4 elements present, or if this element, which is the music, is not inspiring you to do something positive or to build something or to create something, then what are you actually eating? Because eating also encompasses looking and hearing. If you're listening to garbage, what's going to come out? So that's my difference between like hip hop and then popular music. I can talk to someone and tell just by the music they play, like what generation they've come from. Things happen in the circle, right? What happens, you have a real dark period, but it can't stay dark for long. Somebody got to click on the light and say, hey, what's going on here? It's too dark. So what happens is they bring in the elements from the past. Like, they tell you to forget about the past, but everything we talk about right now is from the past. What I just said is from the past, right? So that means that you have to respect what came before you in order for you to continue, because you don't want to repeat the mistakes that the people from the past did. This culture has reached the world. Like, everyone emulates what they see. This culture has been doing. I mean, people are inspired by dance, people are inspired by art, people are inspired by the art of word, people are inspired by music. So if that could stop people from having wars, if that could make people be inspired to be more creative and be thinkers, creative thinkers or critical thinkers, that's what the culture is really about. It's important to know what music is. Just find out what it is that inspires you. And even if it's negative, what you have to do is pull the positive out of it, and you have to be able to connect the positive lines of it to everything else that inspires you.